Alycats and new viewers. So today is part 2 of my September 2016 favorites. If you're new to the channel and don't know what favorites are, that's where I list everything I loved in the entertainment industry the past couple of weeks. And I split this into 2 parts because I usually have way too many favorites and it'd be a super long video if I did it all in one. So you get 2 videos for the price of 1. Yay. So let's just get started, shall we? First up, a book I really loved was The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. This is the book that inspired the film that is currently playing, but I cannot watch because it's not in my town. Thanks, Carmike. This is a phenomenal story. It's a historical romance drama about a couple named Tom and Isabel, and they are caretakers for a lighthouse on an isolated part of Australia. And one day a boat washes up with a dead man and a live baby. They decide to keep the baby for themselves, and this book talks about the couple, how they met, and the repercussions of their keeping the child. It's so good, so beautiful, so moving. I actually cried a little bit reading this, and I would give it 5 out of 5 stars if I could. So I highly recommend this if you're into historical romance dramas. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for the noise. Thanks for the sneeze. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's a better place since you came along. Okay, moving on to my favorite part of the favorites, the movies. Again, I'm taking part in the 100-day film challenge, so if you'd like to read my written reviews, I'll have them linked down below, along with a link to my website where I have the written reviews. So I'd love it if you check those out. But let's just get started with the movies, shall we? First up is Chasing Amy. Now, Chasing Amy was the first Kevin Smith film I ever watched, okay? And for the most part, I enjoyed the film. Chasing Amy is about 2 comic book artists who meet a fellow comic book artist, and Holden, played by Ben Affleck, falls in love with Alyssa, which, by the way, props on that character name, Kevin Smith, who is played by Joey Lauren Adams. Holden is just head over heels in love with Alyssa until he discovers she's a lesbian. But that doesn't stop him. He still chases after her, ignoring his best friend, who is played by Jason Lee. It just chronicles how you can love someone. It doesn't matter what their age is, what their gender is, what their sexuality is. You can love someone no matter what. For the most part, I love this film. I did get tired of all the sexual talk in the film, which I'm by no means a prude, but come on, there's only so many times you can listen to someone talk about blowjobs before you get a little tired of it. But I really enjoyed it, and I was glad it was my first Kevin Smith film. I'm very glad that Chasing Amy popped that cherry for me. Next up, a film I really enjoyed way more than I thought I would was Kung Fury. Kung Fury is a very short film, only 30 minutes long, but it was directed and stars David Sandberg. No, not the guy who directed Lights Out. This is a different David Sandberg. As Kung Fury, a cop who has gained incredible martial arts skills because he was struck by lightning, and yeah, doesn't make sense at all, but who cares because it's fun. And he decides he needs to travel back in time and kill Hitler, who is played by Jorma Taccone from The Lonely Island. And it's just so much fun. There are so many cool elements to this film, and for how low budget this film has phenomenal effects and surprisingly good acting. It's just so much fun. If you have Netflix, go and watch Kung Fury immediately after this. Like I said, it's 30 minutes and it will blow your mind. The next film I want to mention is Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. This is the film that stars Andy Samberg as Connor for real. That's his name. He is a artist who was formerly part of a boy band. He became successful as a solo act, and his new album is coming out soon. Everyone's excited for this album. It's the most anticipated album in the country until he releases the hit single, which is very offensive, and he also causes a global blackout. His fame quickly goes whew, and you have to see Connor deal with the fact from being someone who is so beloved, he's getting all this attention, to someone that is vilified and who loses his fame, and he has to deal with that fact. And it was actually a really funny film, actually kind of emotional at points, and I think it deserves way more love than it got. Andy Samberg is great as Connor for real, and then his Lonely Island castmates, Akiva Schaffer and Jorma Taccone, are fantastic in the film as well. and I just loved all the glorified celebrity cameos in the film. The cameos usually roasted the celebrities themselves. I just thought that was great, and I just love this film. It's shot in a mockumentary style. It is a little too long, and saying that, it's not even an hour and a half long, but I feel like it's a few minutes too long for its own good. But for the most part, you should watch this film. It's funny, it's moving, deserves more love than it got. The next film I want to mention is one that blew me away completely, and its English title is Pure, but its actual title is, if I butcher this, I am sorry, but I'm going to try to pronounce it, Til det som verkert. And this stars Alyssa Vikander, and she plays a woman named Katarina. Katarina is a very troubled young woman. Her mother has mental health issues. She's living with her boyfriend, but her boyfriend is basically just ignoring her. One day Katarina goes to the Gothenburg concert hall and she sees Mozart's Requiem being played. She falls in love immediately with the piece, and she gets mistaken as being someone who's trying to apply for the job as secretary there, and she lands the job, falls in love with the married conductor of the concert hall, and it just shows how this affects Katarina, how it affects her life, and how it changes her life for the better and for the worse. And Alyssa Vikander gave a fantastic performance. It was a great film. There's a twist in it that was just, so good. I love this film so much, and I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix right now. Sadly, you can't buy it on DVD or Blu-ray, and I want to own it so bad because it's a 5 out of 5 star film for me, but you can't own it unless you buy it digitally, which saddens me a lot. But I highly recommend Pure, or Til det som verkert. Next film up, I was actually really surprised I enjoyed, was St. Vincent. This stars Bill Murray as Vincent, a war veteran whose wife is really, really ill. One day he discovers he has new neighbors, a mother and her son played by Melissa McCarthy and Jane Lieberher, and it just chronicles his relationship with this boy, how they become friends, and it shows Vincent, and at first you're like, oh, he's a grumpy old bastard. You start to understand why he is the way he is. You see how Jane Lieberher's character is changing him for the better, and you see how this relationship affects everyone involved. For the most part, this was a really moving film. The only weak link in the film, I would say, is Naomi Watts as a Russian prostitute. She just didn't work. It didn't gel with me. But for the most part, this was an amazing film, and I highly recommend it. Next up is Ark. This is a Netflix exclusive film, and it stars Robbie Amell and Rachel Taylor. And it's the story of a couple. They're stuck in a temporal loop, so they wake up at 6:16 a.m. every morning. Their house is invaded. They are tied up as hostages, but each day they learn a little bit more about what's going on, and they get a little bit further. They're trying to figure out how they're supposed to survive. They can't leave the house because the air outside is irradiated, and you start to learn more and more about the government agency that is behind all this. And it is a mindfuck film. Is it perfect? No. Has this been done in better films like Edge of Tomorrow? Yeah. But it's still entertaining. It's still a good, sleek, action sci-fi film that will leave you thinking. And Robbie Amell's actually really good in this film. So I do recommend watching this if you're into that kind of film and you have some time to kill. Definitely watch Ark. The next film I want to mention is No Country for Old Men. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this, and this is directed by the Coen brothers, and it stars Javier Bardem as Anton Chigurh, and it also stars Josh Brolin and Woody Harrelson. It's about Josh Brolin's character who finds $2 million in cash, and he is stalked by Anton Chigurh. And it just shows how this man goes from being a predator to being prey, and it shows the relationship between Anton Chigurh and Josh Brolin's character. I seriously can't remember his name, I'm sorry. And it shows how Anton Chigurh is also being hunted by Tommy Lee Jones's character, who is a cop. It's a phenomenal film. It is extremely slow burning, and it is brutal. Like, it's brutal. I was surprised at how brutal it was. But I really enjoyed it. And for the most part, it held my attention. A few times I started to get a little bit bored, then it pulled me right back in. And lastly, I really enjoyed The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is directed by Shane Black and stars Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. There are two detectives who take on a case after a porn star is mysteriously murdered, and they're hired by her aunt, and they're trying to track down this young woman, is a bleakly funny film, and that's my favorite kind of comedy. I love dark comedy. Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are fantastic in their roles. They have amazing chemistry. And Glory Rive, who plays Ryan Gosling's daughter, is fantastic. She is definitely a rising star. And I just love this film. It was an almost perfect crime caper noir film, and I love the comedy in it. Moving on to TV, there are a few shows I'd like to mention. First up is Supergirl. I've become obsessed with this show. This show is why I go to when I need a pick-me-up. When I'm feeling down, I go and watch Supergirl. Of course, this follows Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, or as she's known on Earth, Kara Danvers. And it shows how she has to both live her human life and also how she's dealing with being a new superhero and how she's trying to break into her own and be her own person. I just identify with Supergirl so much, and I love Melissa Benoist. She is so adorable and charming, and she was the perfect choice for Supergirl. And I absolutely cannot wait for season 2. Next up is American Horror Story. The first episode of season 6 was great, and if you haven't seen this episode and you don't know what the theme is, you might want to skip ahead a bit, but the theme was revealed to be Roanoke, which I've always been fascinated with Roanoke. It was a mysterious colony in the 1600s that everyone mysteriously vanished. There's no signs of a struggle, no bodies found. The only piece of evidence they had was the word Croatoan carved into a tree, and this focuses on that phenomenon. The first episode was like a mockumentary style. I loved it. Some people didn't, but I really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to be a really good season. I was really disappointed with Hotel, but I feel like season 6 is going to be fantastic. And lastly, I watched Luther season 2. Yes, I watched the whole season in a day because guess what? There's only 2 episodes in the 4th season of Luther. Luther is a phenomenal show. It stars Idris Elba as Luther. He is a detective who gets into tons of trouble all the time. But he's brilliant. He's always solving these murders, and it's just so good. You need to watch it if you're into crime shows, and if you love Idris Elba, watch Luther. I'm just kind of disappointed there were only 2 episodes in the 4th season. It was great. They were great episodes, but I know Idris was busy filming at least 4 films this year, maybe 5. But come on, there were only 2 episodes in season 4. That's not even a season. That's like a mini-series. The games I loved this month were Oceanhorn Monster of Uncharted Seas. I played this on Xbox One. I did a review for this game, so my thoughts about that will be linked down below. And I've also been really enjoying Rive. I was provided a code for this by 2 Tribes for PS4, so thank you 2 Tribes for that. It's a shmup. The only difficulty option is hard, but it's super fun. It's funny. I'm addicted to it, and even though it is hard and you do die a lot, you learn from your mistakes. It's just so captivating, and I'm having so much fun playing it. All the music I enjoyed will be listed in the description box, so give the songs a listen and let me know what you think. And lastly, a YouTube channel I've really been enjoying lately has been Lindsay McDonald's channel. She is adorable, and thank you, motorcycle. Thank you, loud mom talking. Anyway, Lindsay is adorable, and she mostly focuses on television shows on her channel, and I love seeing her videos. She is, like I said, adorable, very knowledgeable, and we share a lot of the same taste in TV, so I highly recommend going to check her out. She deserves more subs than she has. So that was part 2 of my September 2016 favorites. Let me know what your favorites were this month in the comment box down below. Like the video if you liked it. Share the video if you liked it, because that actually helps me out a lot. If you're not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button and join the Alycat army, family, whatever you want to call it, because it's super fun. If you'd like to follow me on any social media sites or check out my website, they're all linked down below in the description box. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Peace and kisses. Bye.